Today on Investigate TV Plus, a matter of heart.
And I was going to require surgery if I was going to live past 13.
Adults who thought a life-threatening childhood heart condition was a thing of the past face a challenging reality.
And it's a little bit like taking your car in for an oil change. It's driving fine, but you have to take it in, and if you don't, then you pay the price.
We take an in-depth look at why follow-up care is critical for adults with a congenital heart defect, the barriers to treatment, and solutions helping patients manage their condition.
Plus,
is he conscious right now? Is he awake?
Nope. Right now I don't have a pulse. I'm starting CPR on him.
a frantic call for help after a man collapsed and his heart stopped during a night out with friends. His life hung in the balance until a deputy equipped with a life-saving device happened to be in the right place at the right time.
All clear? Good. Shocking.
Shock delivered.
We reveal the critical seconds following his arrival and the first aid equipment experts say should be in every public place.
Then, we take you to an outdoor space inspiring creativity. In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus. Every 15 minutes, a baby is born with a congenital heart defect. That's nearly 40,000 infants each year in the U.S. alone. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Medical advancements over the last several decades have improved survival rates for these infants. And now more than 2 million people have adult congenital heart disease, or ACHD. But cardiologists we spoke with say many survivors of open heart surgeries in the 60s, 70s, and 80s are not receiving the follow-up care they need.
So they are trying to raise awareness to bring this growing population of patients back to specialized care before their conditions become critical.
Good boy.
At 56, Patricia Berkowitz has made staying healthy and active a top priority. She even wears an Apple Watch to track her progress.
I've been wearing an iWatch for a while, really like keeping track of our, steps and, like all the things that people like to keep track of.
But in 2022,
I'm sitting at my desk and all of a sudden I get an alert.
a message she had never received before.
AFIB detected, and I was like, that seems weird.
Tests performed shortly after at Duke University Medical Center confirmed there was a serious issue with Patricia's heart.
Went in, they did an ECG, and I was in a flutter, actually. So the watch was correct. There was a problem.
Patricia's heart problem actually dates back to when she was a baby. Born with a congenital heart defect called an atrial septal defect, she had a hole in the wall between her heart's upper chambers. After a successful surgery just shy of her 5th birthday, she went on to lead a normal life.
I ran track and cross country in high school.
For years, Patricia's heart never held her back.
I was always active, 70s kids. We just got on our bikes and went wherever we went for the day. All the same things.
It wasn't until her 50s that alarms started going off, which research reveals is not uncommon. In the 1950s, only about 25% of infants born with a congenital heart defect would survive to see their first birthday. Today, that number is more than 95%. Experts say it's because of this high survival rate that many ACHD patients have the misconception they are cured. This Journal of the American College of Cardiology article states, in reality, there's almost no surgical cure for congenital heart disease. The article goes on to stress the misperception of cure has potentially serious consequences. Doctors we talk to insist long-term follow-up for these patients is extremely important, even if they feel good.
And it's a little bit like taking your car in for an oil change. It's driving fine, but you have to take it in, and if you don't, then you pay the price.
Dr. Sam Lucas is an interventional pediatric cardiologist and co-director of the Congenital Heart Center at Ochsner Health in New Orleans. Dr. Lucas says for many ACHD patients, there are economic and emotional barriers to care. A 2021 study published in the Cambridge University Press revealed difficulty paying insurance premiums and access to care as the most common barriers for patients.
You might be far from the center where it's difficult to get there, and it could be something as simple as you don't have the gas money or the car that'll make it there.
Dr. Lucas adds doctors want to help patients face their fears so they can find potential problems early.
We want to find any problem that you might have before it's manifest, before you have any symptoms, and that's why we believe very strongly in scheduled regular follow-up and evaluations.
Dr. Lucas says without adequate follow-up care, some ACHD patients may experience right heart failure, or RHF, which can lead to leg swelling, labored breathing, and chest pain. Exercise intolerance and heart rhythm issues are also a concern. These patients can also face sudden adverse cardiac events such as fainting, cardiac arrest, or even death.
There needs to be more awareness about the value of coming back for regular follow-up.
The American Heart Association has made it their mission to get the word out and reach those who need to be evaluated.
We know there are about 2 million adults in this country that have congenital heart disease. Only about half of them truly receive proper cardiovascular care. And I think that's an important fact that the American Heart Association wants to get out there, that there is help. Holes in the heart.
American Heart Association board member and clinical cardiologist Dr. Denzel Moraes says ACHD patients should consider the simple things first, such as maintaining a good diet and getting some exercise. He adds, due to recent medical advancements, open heart surgery may not be necessary for ACHD patients who need treatment later in life.
We can place altar valves in through the groin. We can do ablations percutaneously as well. So there are multiple things we can offer at regional centers of excellence.
Ablation, a procedure that destroys abnormal heart tissue, was used to treat Patricia's irregular heart rhythm.
That's when I was in a flutter.
Her biggest concern now is her risk for stroke, often associated with arrhythmia. She's currently on a blood thinner indefinitely and understands the importance of sticking to a regular appointment schedule with her cardiac team at Duke. She also keeps her Apple Watch and iPhone close by.
You just look at the little heart health, and then it pulls up all, and you can set it to send you messages, like weekly alerts. Really using these tools makes you really comfortable with keeping up with what's going on and not freaking out.
Reminders that managing heart disease is not just a thing of the past, but a crucial part of ensuring a healthy future. Cardiologists recommend making the transition from a pediatric cardiologist to an adult cardiologist between the ages of 15 and 18. If you haven't been to a specialist in a while, start with seeing your primary care physician. Like Patricia, many patients with AFIB take blood thinners to reduce the risk of stroke, but
I would barely get tapped and I would bruise. It was horrible.
The daily medication comes with some troubling side effects. Still to come, we examine a surgical alternative to blood thinners and how this procedure changed a woman's life.
But first, a heart-stopping moment.
It was kind of out of the blue, really no warning.
A night out with friends at a bowling alley became a fight for survival. How 6 letters, 3 men, and 1 device helped spare a man's life. Every year, the American Heart Association says more than 300,000 people experience sudden cardiac arrest.
In Lansing, Michigan, a man is alive because when his heart stopped, 3 people knew what to do and took action. Reporter Ann Emmerich introduces us to his angels in the alley. And we want to warn you, this story includes video of a medical emergency.
It's good for recreation, it's good for friendships. And it doesn't hurt that I'm a pretty good bowler, too.
Dennis Kelly is among dozens who show up every week to City Limits in Mason for the Monday Night Bowling League. He averages a 195, and friends say he's a pretty good person, too.
Go out of his way to do anything for you.
Scott Shaberg works at the bowling alley, bowls with Dennis, and calls him one of his best friends.
I was on the next lane over, yep, we were bowling against each other that night.
A night, the sound of bowling balls hitting the pins stopped, and the alley stood still. Dennis was getting ready to bowl when he collapsed.
911, where's your emergency? We have a person down. We're in the bowling alley, Mason City Limits.
So just kind of out of the blue, really no warning. We were all scrambling around trying to get him some help.
Kevin Ammerman was not supposed to be there that night. He agreed to substitute on a team and was about 10 lanes down from Dennis.
Being a retired paramedic, I kind of made my way down there to see what was going on.
Dennis had suffered sudden cardiac arrest.
Is he conscious right now? Is he awake?
Nope. Right now I don't have a pulse. I'm starting CPR on him.
At that point, I started CPR right away. There was an off-duty county deputy that was here having dinner, so he came out.
One of the things they asked like right away when he went down, is there an AED in this facility? And everybody was looking around and they couldn't find one.
Go ahead with your plate.
At just that moment, a deputy just down the road heard the call on his radio.
He just happened to be in the right place. Deputy Bellinger was driving by and had the AED with him, and that was critical.
All right, keep going straight ahead, they'll tell you.
Yeah, I got CPR in progress.
We started CPR, brought him back, and now we have to start it again.
So we all carry AEDs on patrol with us. That way, anytime we get a call, regardless of if someone has an AED or not, we're able to bring ours in.
First responders say that AED, or automated electronic defibrillator, was key to saving Dennis Kelly's life.
Everyone clear? Good? Shocking?
Shock delivered.
Okay, second shock.
I think it ended up delivering 4 shocks total, but when they loaded him in the ambulance, he actually had his heart rate back.
1, 2, 3.
By his side in the ambulance, his buddy Scott, on the phone with Dennis's wife.
Most people, your brain automatically goes to the worst case scenario. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
A wife who battled cancer for 2 years and just celebrated her final treatment. Her husband, her caretaker, in a fight for his own life. Dennis doesn't remember much other than waking up in the hospital.
My chest really hurt bad, which was obviously from all the compressions and everything, and just trying to figure out, why am I here? What happened?
That's what the first thing he said to me was that he was sorry. He was supposed to be the caregiver.
If I had been home, if I had been in the car driving, any other situation, place, or time, I doubt very seriously that the outcome would have been as positive.
3 men in the right place at the right time with the right skills. It's not lost on Dennis how close he came to death.
I think we have angels all around us on earth in the form of people who help.
Thank you's not enough. I don't know what even is enough to thank them.
You're back. I am back, sir.
This is their thanks. Dennis back at the bowling alley in his Monday Night League. All because of 3 heroes and 6 letters, CPR and AED.
Yeah, learn CPR. It's a skill I think everybody could benefit from. And having AED.
Well, you never know when you'll be in a situation where you can potentially save a life.
God put me here for a reason, put everybody else in the positions they were there, and it all worked out in the end.
People who suffer cardiac arrest in public are more likely to survive if a bystander uses an AED before an ambulance arrives. Harold Mayfield has been a paramedic for nearly 20 years. Mayfield says you don't need training to use an AED.
You hit a button and it tells you exactly what to do. It's like Control-Alt-Delete, on your computer when nothing's working. That's what we're doing with the AED, is Control-Alt-Delete, get it to restart, and hopefully it goes right back into its natural rhythm.
The American Heart Association says when it comes to cardiac arrest, time and use of an AED means survival.
We know for every 1 minute that somebody does not have CPR performed or an AED used, their chances of survival go down by 10%. So that means you have this 10-minute window really to make a huge impact on whether or not somebody is going to survive their cardiac arrest outside of the hospital.
Dennis is among the 10% who the association says survive cardiac arrest outside of a hospital. As for the bowling alley, they now have their own AED. In Lansing, Michigan, I'm Ann Emmerich.
Watching him after all of that happened was just amazing, to explain that he didn't really know what happened and he's just happy to be alive.
Look, I think things are meant to be, and those people were meant to be there at that time in that place and saved his life.
Yeah.
And he had a pretty good bowl at the end there of that
He
story.
did,
too, yeah?
and we
He
should
still
all
got it.
learn CPR.
You are right about that. Good lesson.
Well, still ahead, blood thinners help prevent stroke in patients with a common heart rhythm disorder. But for some, medication poses its own risk. We examine a medical procedure that provides similar protection and eliminates the need for a daily pill.
Then later, a chance to express yourself.
Anyone can come and create and try something new and get out of their comfort zone.
How an abandoned construction site became an outlet for creativity.
There's a good chance you or someone you know is living with atrial fibrillation or AFib.
The American Heart Association says 5 million people currently live with the condition. Patients often describe AFib as feeling like their heart is flip-flopping or skipping beats, while others may have no symptoms and only discover they have it because of a smartwatch or medical exam. Cardiologists prescribe blood thinners to reduce the risk of blood clots and stroke in AFib patients, but the medication does come with a high risk of serious bleeding and bruising.
Reporter Jen Pachano shows us how an implanted device treats the condition.
At the Whatnot shop in Austinburg, co-owner Stacy Jocelyn does a lot of heavy lifting, moving furniture. But ever since her AFib diagnosis, she's been on blood thinners, and that's been a problem.
I couldn't tell you how many bruises I had. I mean, I would barely get tapped, and I would bruise. It was horrible. I mean, it looked like I'd been through a war some days, just because like I would touch a piece of furniture.
Her blood thinner also put her at risk for serious bleeding events, something her doctor wanted to help her avoid while still protecting her from a stroke. Enter the Watchman.
It basically works at the level of where those blood clots form.
Dr. Stephen Philby says atrial fibrillation, or AFib, represents sort of an electrical storm in the heart, and it can lead to blood clots in the upper chamber.
More than 90% of the time, they form in a little pouch called the left atrial appendage. And of course, if you form a clot in the heart is pumping blood, that blood clot can get trafficked or passed from the heart into the circulatory system, and most often it goes to the brain, and that's why AFib causes so many strokes.
Dr. Philby says that little pouch is like the appendix of your heart.
So what the Watchman device does is it blocks that pouch. It basically caps the mouth of the pouch and occludes it so that blood clots can then not come into the heart circulation and therefore be pumped to the body and cause a stroke.
AFib is the #1 cause of stroke in the U.S., but the Watchman is delivering freedom from the dangers of blood thinners with the same protection from stroke. It's minimally invasive surgery that's over in 30 minutes. Patients go home the same day. As for Stacy, the Watchman addresses her risk for stroke.
The main thing is it's going to stop any blood clots trying to get through. So that made me feel a lot better.
Doctors say only half of patients who are prescribed blood thinners actually take them because of various reasons, including cost, side effects, and not wanting to be on daily medication for the rest of their lives. Dr. Philby says those patients are the ones who are really at risk and should consider this procedure. In Cleveland, I'm Jen Pachano.
Up next, you don't need to be a professional to leave your mark.
There are no rules except be a nice person.
We take you to an art gallery where graffiti is welcome.
I'm Viv Williams with a medical mythbuster moment. If you get an allergic reaction from a bee sting, itching, redness, swelling, you can bet it'll be worse if you get stung again. That's not a myth for most people. An article for consumers from the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology notes that 60% of people who have an allergic reaction to a bee sting will experience a worse reaction the second time. So how do you know if you're having an allergic reaction to a sting? The article lists the following symptoms: pain, redness, swelling, flushing, hives, itching, and anaphylaxis, which is the most dangerous type of allergic reaction because it can restrict breathing and put your body into shock. Anaphylaxis is life-threatening, so if you think it's happening, seek emergency medical care. The article points out that 72 people die of stings every year. It also notes that more people are afraid of getting stung by bees than are actually allergic to them. With this medical mythbuster moment, I'm Viv Williams.
Enjoying art doesn't have to be confined within four walls.
In Charlotte, the artwork at the Teo Outdoor Gallery doesn't come from artists. Reporter Natisha Lance visited the exhibit to see how it works.
The walls of Charlotte have something to say. The message is different depending on where you look, but the delivery is the same. Bright, bold and inspiring.
We focus on a lot of forgotten spaces. Like this was just 2 slabs of concrete.
Construction delays for condos on those slabs opened up the space to be transformed into Teo Outdoor Gallery.
We built this space so that anyone can come and create and try something new and get out of their comfort zone and make a new friend.
Sydney Duarte is the co-founder of the gallery. It consists of 20 removable canvases, standing 8 feet tall and up to 44 feet wide, all open for anyone to design.
There are no rules except be a nice person, respect other people's artwork, and we have some loving guidelines at the front of the space, but there aren't too many. It's basically do what you want as long as you're being kind.
The space was made possible with the City of Charlotte Arts and Culture Advisory Board's Opportunity Grant. Duarte and her partners were one of 35 artists and groups to receive grant monies.
It's been like a long road to get here, and finally we're starting to see the city honoring public art more and being a little more interested because they're seeing the impact that it can have.
Duarte says Teo is reaching people far beyond Charlotte.
People are coming from out of state, from out of country, because they don't have a space like this in their community.
More than 450 expressions of art have been created on gallery boards. But that's just one part of the larger impact Duarte hopes to continue building through art in the city.
You can't go into any of the neighborhoods throughout the Queen City and not see our work or the people from our spaces work.
Spaces like Luminous Lane. Last year, Duarte collaborated with dozens of artists to transform a forgotten alley into a vibrant art destination.
Are you proud of what you're seeing in your city?
Yeah, so proud, and I'm so excited to just see where it keeps going.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, a warning for parents who publicly post their child's pics on social media.
There's privacy concerns, there's safety concerns, and there's security concerns.
We have an in-depth look at those risks and reveal solutions parents can use the next time they log in.